State of the college, the first, I hope I'm doing this right, Strategic Plan Update 2013-14. As you know, we have 4 goals. The first one is, of course, student success. And as you know, our first priority and our one objective in that particular goal was to develop and implement a comprehensive strategic enrollment management plan. And what you see here are the 4 phases that the Enrollment Committee Task Force has identified. 4 phases to be developed and identified over the next year and a half. This has been done by a group of 20 individuals under the guidance of our 3 amigos, Daniel DeMart, Charles Lepper, as well as James Toscano. What they have done in their activities this past year, in the phase 1 accomplishments, the core team trained process mapping, 5 teams focused on targeted prospects. Those are high school students, high school dual enrollment, employer, community, and military. And in the process mapping, it resulted in 112 action items for improvement. But I want to draw your attention to the improvement areas on the side. They have reduced steps in those target areas by anywhere from 10% all the way up to 68%. Those are steps that have been eliminated that have gotten in the way of our students being able to even gain access to TCC. In the next phase, what they have now done is they have also identified marketing opportunities. So 170 marketing strategies, new and different marketing strategies have been deployed. Recruitment and the prospect database has been established. The Web Advisory Council has established a web strategy, and work is underway for the redesign of our web page. We've updated the academic calendar to initiate simultaneous summer and fall registration in the spring semester. And we've automated class scheduling, which is piloted at the Chesapeake campus. For those of you, the deans, you should be able to do this much more automated and much more efficient in the future. Our second objective under goal number 1, the student success goal, was to strengthen college readiness initiative. As you know, our students come to us with many, many barriers for their academic success. And it just so happened that we were fortunate to be the beneficiaries of the new bill, House Bill 1184, which has set the pathways for the attainment of an associate's degree simultaneously while a high school student is receiving their high school diploma. And so we now have MOUs with each of the school divisions. Most recently, the Norfolk School District has signed on for dual enrollment, I think in English and math, to start with. The other area that we have identified as area for opportunities to grow and change is to decrease the developmental placement. And our CMBE staff is piloting a pre-test preparation program that would reduce the fallout rate of students taking the math placement test. And then we've also initiated a placement testing in every high school where we have adult career coaches, high school career coaches, and every one of our admissions staff has been trained to administer the VPT in the high schools as they're out there visiting. Under college readiness, another one is improving the success rate of students placed into the developmental courses. And as an outgrowth of the redesign of developmental studies or education through the VCCS, a cross-campus, cross-functional team has identified issues and has created goals to address the policies and procedures and then additional data needs. So as a result of that, we have trained all of our staff to use post-enrollment requisite checking called PERC for short. We've initiated a supplemental instruction manual for faculty and SIS, which are near completion, and the early alert system that many of you faculty members have just jumped onto and enjoyed and given out kudos as well as flags. And I'll share my theory with that. The kudos that you have delivered to your students, the thousands and thousands of kudos, may very well be one of the best successful retention tools we have. Because our students, many of them, have never had somebody tell them, good job, you're going to accomplish this. And so my theory is, and I hope we can prove it in the next year or two, that the kudos have a more positive effect on retention than probably any other activity that we engage in. So stay tuned. The second goal, innovation through collaboration. We focused this year on capitalizing on professional development investments through technology and collaboration. Cross-campus functional team has established professional development needs and developed a cadre of different kinds of opportunities which they will codify in the next year. Done an inventory of our current TCC professional development opportunities and how they might be enhanced with technology, and identified current gaps and areas. So next year, or this year actually, they will determine the usage and the satisfaction of current opportunities, so you'll be getting surveys, and then develop an employee and professional development and training plan. Internal resource development and goal 3. One objective that we focused on this year is investing in the college's human capital and assess the college's infrastructure for efficiency and effectiveness. So one of the activities that has been led is to understand the academic structure that we have and focus on the areas in terms of their functions, their policies, and the various structural alignment. The academic deans and the directors have identified 7 core academic functions. And you would think that'd be pretty easy, but it actually took quite a while for everybody to agree on what are the 7 core academic functions that our academic divisions, our academic deans perform, and then also identify primary and secondary responsibilities. So the next steps there is to assess and compile primary responsibilities related to the newly defined core academic functions, and that work will continue next year. In external resource development, goal 4, in terms of regional alliances and collaboration, there is a task force underway to develop a very strategic plan on how to collaborate with business and industry to serve the needs of the region through workforce training and education. First strategy, implement a career center that is college-wide and centralized. We think at a college that serves 40-some thousand students, we would have a career center for our students, but we do not, but it will be there by next year. And we've identified the requirements for staff, training, and equipment, and we will have, by the end of the year, a plan to develop comprehensive career services at each campus with actually a relatively minimal amount of investment. And then finally, objective 2, strategically collaborate with business and industry. And the strategy there is create partnerships for new curricular programming and investment in equipment and resources. If you had heard in the last week the announcement by the governor on his workforce initiative, you will see where the whole state is going and what role the community colleges will be playing in it. The week before, Secretary of Trade and Commerce, Morris Jones, released an executive memo that also supports that initiative towards credentialing of non-credit workforce training, credentialing of prior work experiences, and our faculty hopefully will all be supportive of that effort to take what somebody has acquired either in their prior experience in the military or prior work or an industry credential that they might have achieved, and to do the crosswalk into your credit curriculum and place those students at that appropriate point. So we talked about that, and also our program advisory committees. We have 500 people from our region that are serving on program advisory committees. There is an expertise there, there is a capacity there that we have not leveraged and identified to help with our initiatives curriculum-wise, but also with fundraising. So we're going to strengthen that next year. And then finally, collect data on workforce challenges and training needs. Okay, and then the process for gathering information from our advisory boards. So next steps, 2014-15 institutional priorities, identify initiative leaders and teams, and begin to track and record progress. So that's my update on what we have done in the past year. And hold on, I'm losing my space here. As you can see, a lot has been accomplished in the past year. A lot of work has been put in there. And as I said in a town hall meetings last year, you are all so generous and spirited in your time to volunteer for these task forces. And that's the only way we can move forward and help this college and help our students. Let me excerpt a few things from our college strategic plan. TCC's positive core encompasses the qualities that characterize the college as a whole when it is operating at its peak potential. The positive core at TCC contributes to its health and vitality and serves as a strong foundation of the college's future to build upon current success and continue on the path to excellence over the next 5 years. TCC's positive core is evidenced in 3 themes: collaboration, dedication, and innovation. Collaboration is the keystone to excellence at Tidewater Community College. Dedication grows from a great heart and a sense of compassion, caring, and people helping people. Innovation, the courage, strength, and tenacity to invent new processes and pathways for students, as well as the ability to adapt and be resourceful in thinking outside the box to find solutions, to generate creativity, and to create ownership of real change. And the college strategic plan, as you know, reflects these 3-part cores with the 4 goals, all of which emphasize how everything we do points to connectedness as the way to achieve success at TCC. As you saw these past 2 years, we have been focused heavily on how we relate to each other, as well as assessing what gets in the way of being able to focus on the relationships among ourselves and those with our students. And so with the implementation of the 2013-14 institutional priorities from the college strategic plan, we have made some remarkable progress forward to what it means to be one college, have one voice, for one future. A lot has been accomplished. A lot more will be done in the coming year. Many of the priorities from 2013-14 will be carried forward, while some new ones have already been identified for 2014-15. By mid-September, we will announce the college-wide institutional priorities for next year, or for this year, and track the implementation quarterly. We will be putting out college-wide announcements as well as posting updates under the President's pages on the TCC homepage. But let me now switch to another context, to reality that all is not well in TCC land, and one where I will issue a challenge to you at the end of my remarks to not only embrace the one college, one voice, one future, but to live it every day by each and every one of you. As you just heard, most of the strategies implemented were geared towards solidifying our enrollment processes, strengthening the case management approach for undecided students, and increasing our presence on the web as well as in the media. We had expected that with all of the enrollment strategies, increased marketing campaigns, the sales intervention, and the Blackboard financial aid calls, the work of the career coaches, along with that of the Access Foundation staff, the summer and fall enrollments would reflect all that work. Unfortunately, this has not been the case. If you look at this graph, which goes back to 2004 and 5, you'll see our super growth until 2011 and 12, and I hope there's no correlation with my arrival here in the summer of 2012, but the enrollments began to level off, and in my first year here, we had a 9.3% decrease in our enrollments, followed by 4.4%, and the anticipation is, or the projection is, that this year, if things do not change, we will incur another 9.9% decrease in our enrollments. Think about that. So we have gone from roughly 23,000 FTEs, so that full-time equivalent students, of course, down to what may be this year about 18,000 FTEs. So it's about 3,500 FTEs that is projected to be lost. And there may be some who might want to take comfort in the fact that virtually all of the Virginia community colleges and even state nationwide enrollments are down in higher education. And others who may want to become resigned and think we cannot do anything about it. Well, I am here to tell you that we cannot have that attitude. The negative financial impact is so great that we will have to make adjustments in order to balance the budget. The summer enrollments, the financial impact of the summer enrollments is 13% decline. Fall currently is at an 11% decline. So the projection is that the 2014-15 year may end up with a 10% enrollment decline. And here's the number that I want you to remember. For every 1% of an enrollment decline, we lose roughly $625,000 in state reimbursement. $625,000. That means for this coming year, we would be incurring a $6.2 million loss in revenue. $6.2 million loss in revenue. And for those of you who have been here, many of the 40 and 45-year-old, you've seen the college fluctuating. We're in a decreasing mode, but this is not going to be the future. I know that we will turn it around, but we need everybody's help. So when I look at the overall picture of enrollments and revenue loss, I am struck by the stories from our students on how each decision that someone at TCC has made contributed to that picture. When a student is denied entry into a class by a TCC staff member because the class limit is already at capacity, it could mean 1 FTE less. When a student is denied Virginia domicile by a TCC staff member, it could mean 1 FTE less. When one student gives up waiting in a 2-hour waiting line or on a phone call, it could mean 1 FTE less. When one student is dropped from a class for an outstanding balance as little as $25 by the TCC automated drop date system, it could mean 1 FTE less. When one TCC staff member is rude to a student waiting in line, it could mean 1 FTE less. So with this sobering news, let me issue the following challenge to each and every one of you. We must do better, we must attract more students, and we must retain more students. Let us all pull together to promote the value of a TCC education. We have roughly 3,500 full and part-time staff members, about equal to the number of FTEs we have lost in the last 2.5 years. If every staff member of TCC made it their personal goal to garner and or retain 1 FTE, just 1 FTE, we could turn the sad picture around in 1 year. So let us turn the projected enrollment decline of 10% into a 10% gain. Let us turn the projected revenue loss of $6 million into a $6 million revenue gain. Let us facilitate entry into a class and gain 1 FTE. Let us facilitate domicile approval and gain 1 FTE. Let us facilitate shortening the waiting line or the phone waiting time and gain 1 FTE. Let us facilitate the retention of that student with the outstanding debt and gain an FTE. And let us be kind to our students and gain an FTE. If every staff member of TCC, and again I mean every staff member of TCC, practice daily the positive core of TCC, collaboration, innovation, and dedication, they would fulfill the inherent promise in the tagline of our college strategic plan: one college, one voice, one future. TCC needs you to do this. The students need you to do this. The region needs you to do this, and you need to do it for yourself. To do otherwise will not produce a positive future for anyone.